Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley and this is another bookish video. Hello friends, so in today's video I will be doing a reading wrap up of the last 4 months. I decided to combine it because I ended up not doing a wrap up in March because I only finished 3 books that month. So I didn't really want to do a wrap up for only 3 books. And then I just forgot the last 3 months, and I also didn't read a lot the last 3 months in the month, so I didn't want to do a wrap up for only so many books. So I decided to combine it all for March, April, May, and June. So I have 25 books that I want to talk about today, and they're all books that I have read for the last 4 months. 25 books is a lot, so let's go ahead and get started. First, I will go over the books I read in March. The first book I read was A Strange Hymn by Laura Thalassa. This is the sequel to the Rhapsodic series. And I love that first book, but this is a sequel, so I don't really want to do too much, say too much about the sequel, but it's basically about she's a siren, I believe, and she makes a deal with the bargainer, and then things obviously a romance happens, and then there's also there's 2 worlds. There's the human world and the fae world. So it's urban kind of fantasy. And I loved that first book, but this one took me 2 weeks to get through. Nothing really exciting was happening in it, I thought. And I struggled with it, and it ended up taking me 2 weeks to finish. And I ended up giving it 3 stars, I think. So it definitely was disappointing that I didn't love this as much. And I still have to read the 3rd book, but I've been pushing it off because I don't want to be disappointed again. But yeah, this is the first book that I read in March. And then the second book I read is Tomorrow ×3. This was the Smut Salon pick for March, and I love this book. I think I gave it 4 stars. It was a really great read. Definitely worth the hype that it had. But yeah, it's about these 2 characters. They meet in a hospital, and then they create a video game business, start creating video games together, and it's about their relationship. I don't want to go too much in it without getting spoilery, but yeah, it's definitely a lot better than it sounds. But yeah, I definitely loved it. If you love video games, I definitely recommend it. But yeah, it was just a very great story, and I'm glad it was a pick for Katie Coulson's Smut Salon Patreon pick. So yeah, I read this. And then the third book I read, I don't know if I should count it as March or April, because I read it. It was the first book I read for Realmathon, but those sprints started on the last day of March. And then I started it in March, but then I finished it I think really early or late in on that day. But I finished it technically 2 hours into technically April. So that is The Housemaid's Secret. And that one was so good. I read it on my Kindle through the Kindle app, and yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. Loved it. Not as much as the first book in like the Housemaid series, but I still had so much fun with it. I still love the housemaid, like the character that plays like the housemaid. Um, and yeah, it was such a fun thriller. Like definitely not like the best like writing or like book out there, but it was just a fun thriller to read. Lots of like drama and like thrilling moments, that like a lot of plot twists that I didn't see coming, and I had a lot of fun with it. And I think I rated that like 4.5 stars. On to the books that I read in April. The first book I read was Delilah Green Doesn't Care. This is a sapphic romance. And she's attending her stepsister's wedding. And she's like the photographer for it. And this is her stepsister's like friend. And yeah, I just loved this romance so much. It was so fun to read. I loved Delilah and all the rest of the characters. And yeah, it was just a cute, very fun sapphic romance, and I definitely recommend. The next book I read was The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. This is a really cute romance as well. It's about she like falls for a ghost. And it sounds kind of like crazy, like silly and like cheesy, but I thought it was really cute and fun, a fun romance, and definitely like it had like definitely like plot twist that I didn't see coming. So yeah, this was definitely very fun and cute, and I love the romance between the two characters, and it was like so cute. Like it took place in like this like small town, and yeah, I had a lot of fun reading this one. And then the next book I have is actually three. Like I read the three novellas from Loath to Love You. They're the novellas from this from Allie Hazelwood. And they were all pretty cute. Not perfect, but I still had fun reading them. I think I gave them all like three stars. 3.5 stars. I had fun reading them. They were cute and fun to read about, and yeah, I definitely recommend if you love Allie Hazelwood. And then the next book I have is A Throne of Ruin by K.F. Breen. This is the sequel to A Ruin of Roses. And I love that first book. It's like a Beauty and the Beast type of retelling. But there's definitely more to that. There's like romance. The romance is great, and there's like dragons and demons, and I just had so much fun, and the sequel is so good. I still have to read the third and fourth book, and I keep putting it up, but I need to get to those so I can finish off this series, because I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I definitely recommend if you love like Beauty and the Beast retelling and reading about like demons and dragons, because yeah, it's so much fun to read. And yeah, I don't want to say too much about it because this is a sequel, but yeah, it's a lot of fun to read. And then the next book I have here is definitely very hyped, and that is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I love this book. This is kind of like, it's like a vampire, like kind of vampire fae romance, and like there's like trials, like it kind of reminded me of like the Hunger Games trials. And it was so much fun. Like I had so much fun reading this. Definitely recommend if you haven't already read it, because I know it's very hyped, so I know a lot of people have already read it, but it was so much fun to read. I loved the the two main like characters, like their like banter and everything Like, yeah, I can't wait to read the sequel. I keep pushing it off, but I definitely need to read the sequel, like, as soon as possible. Because, yeah, I love this one. 5 stars, like, automatic. Like, I love this book. It was so much fun to read. And then the last book I read most of it in April, but I think I finished it in May. And that is Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. This was kind of like a weird story. It's about these characters that they're like trapped in like a submarine, or one wife is trapped under, and then it's like it has dual point of views from one wife's perspective. Like she was like trapped under like this submarine, and then the other wife, like it like goes back and forth between the two characters. But it was very weird. Like it was like I love the writing, but like you didn't know what, like if they were like really talking about being like trapped in a summer. Like I don't think they were like you don't know if it was like an actual real like situation while you're reading it, or if it was something else altogether. Like if it was like a metaphor for something else. But yeah, I love the writing. This was a very good read, and I definitely recommend if you haven't. I know this one was also hyped. And if I didn't say, I also read this for the, it was a Smut Salon pick for Katie Colson's Patreon. And yeah, this was a pretty good read. I love the writing, but it did take me a while to get through. That's why, like, I started, like, I think I, like, read it in April April. But I didn't finish it until, like, the first day of May. Like, I finished it on May 1st, but I read most of it in April, so I'm counting it as an April book. And I also counted it as, like, a Realmathon, book as well. So, yeah. I definitely it was a good read. But yeah, very, like, kind of, like, darker themes, and yeah, it was a fun, or not fun, it was a good read, and I definitely recommend if you haven't read it yet. Okay, now I want to talk about my May books, May was probably my best reading month of the year so far. And the first book I have is Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. We'll start on a kind of not so good note. This was very, like, I struggled with this one a lot. I almost wanted to DNF it, but I pushed through it because by the time I, like, thought about DNFing it, I only had, like, a little under 100 pages left. So, yeah, I stuck through it, but I was so bored reading this. And I didn't like the characters. I thought a lot of them were annoying, personally. And yeah, I just was not having a fun time reading this. I think I gave it 2 stars, but I think that was being generous. But yeah, I can't say I recommend this book. I know a lot of people did, I think, like this one. But yeah, I don't recommend this. I do have another book by this author, but I don't know when I'll get to it because now I'm afraid I won't like that one either. But I did not have fun reading this one. And the next book I want to talk about is The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. This one also was a struggle to get through. It wasn't as bad as Reckless Girls, but I also wasn't a huge fan of this one either. I was also bored, like, for most of it. Like, it didn't, like, actually, like, nothing really happened until, like, the last, like, few pages. Like, you didn't find anything out. But yeah, at least, like, I thought, like, things were more interesting in this one. Like, I wanted to find out what was gonna happen. But I still, like, I was kind of bored throughout a lot of it. I ended up giving this one 3 stars, so I obviously liked it a little bit more than Reckless Girls, but yeah, it's about this woman that she goes on this like cruise, and then she sees something happen in the cabin next to her, and then like she's trying to figure out like what happened, what was going on, which like it was definitely like intriguing to read about, and I was intrigued while reading it and wanted to find out what was gonna happen next. But yeah, it wasn't like the best thriller by any means that I have read. So yeah, I gave it 3 stars. Okay, so the next book I have is a YA fantasy, sapphic fantasy, and that is The Sweet and Bitter Magic by Adrienne Tooley. This was a fun little like YA fantasy. I thought it was really cute. I liked the characters and like the journey they went on. And yeah, I love like reading about like witches and stuff. Like one's a witch and one's like a source, and they like go on this like journey to try to find like to break this like curse, I think, that's happening. And yeah, I had a lot of fun reading about the characters and like the family and all of that, and the like romance that was blossoming between the two was really cute, and I love that as well. But yeah, it was so cute. Definitely recommend if you love like YA fantasy and sapphic stories, because yeah, I thought it was really cute and I had a lot of fun reading it. I think I gave it 4 stars. So yeah, I loved this one. All right, next book I have is King of Wrath by Anna Wong. And I love this one. This was so fun to read about. It's kind of like it's a marriage convenience, kind of like enemies to lovers kind of thing going on. And I thought I had so much fun reading it. I love it. I love the banter, and like I love Dante and how he like treated Vivian. So yeah, and like I love this author. She's like an auto-buy author to me now. I read the Twisted Love series by her as well, and loved every single book in that series. And yeah, this one is no exception. I had so much fun reading it. I love the relationship between the two characters. And yeah, definitely highly recommend this series, especially if you also loved the Twisted Love series. But I also, like, if you haven't read either of them, I definitely recommend reading them. And I can't wait to read King of Pride in this series as well. So next up, I have the 4 books I read for Smut Den. So that was like the last weekend in May. And I have a vlog, so if you want to know like more about my thoughts on that, on these books, definitely check out that vlog. But I read Heartless Heathens, which I think I gave 4 stars. And yeah, this was a pretty dark romance, so check trigger warnings if you want to read it. But yeah, definitely was a good read. I think, yeah, I rated it 4 stars. Also, I have Hooked by Emily McIntyre. This one was so much fun. I loved the like Peter Pan type retelling with the villain. And yeah, I had so much fun with it, and definitely recommend. Gave this one 5 stars. And then I read Praise by Sarah Kate, which is her like ex-boyfriend's dad. She like starts dating him, and it's like about like this like club that like does like different like kinks basically, like, and they have like different like things that they are into. So yeah, it was a very good steamy read, and it was perfect for Smut Den. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one, and I think I gave this one 5 stars as well. And then I read The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. This one was so cute. I loved it so much. I do not know why it took me so long to read this romance. I had so much fun reading it. Definitely check out my thoughts in that vlog. But yeah, highly recommend if you have not read this yet. But yeah, I loved it and had so much fun reading it. It was so cute. I loved the two characters. I loved Stella. I loved the main guy. Oh my gosh, I am blanking on the name. Michael. But yeah, I had so much fun reading this. It was such a cute little romance, and I love the rep for Asperger's. And yeah, it was a very cute read, and I definitely recommend. All right, so the last book I read in May, which also went into June, and that is Any Man by Amber Tamblyn. This was a very hard read, but I love the writing. The writing was very beautiful, and it definitely took me by surprise because I was not expecting to love it as much as I did. But yeah, definitely a hard read because it talks about SA. But yeah, I highly recommend it just because the writing was beautiful. But if it's not something you want to read about, I definitely would not read it if you don't want to read about that content. But yeah, it was a very good writing, and very good story to tell. And again, this was also a pick from Katie Colson's Smut Salon Patreon pick. And yeah, I loved it. I think I gave it 4.5 stars. But yeah, definitely highly recommend this book if you are wanting to read something with this content. Okay, now we are into the books that I read in June, which are only 5 books, but I did start a lot of books, but I'm not really going to talk about the books that I go too much into detail on the books I started but didn't finish in June. But the first book I finished in June was Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. This is a very dark romance. Definitely check trigger warnings for this one. Has a lot of dark content in it. That was hard to read. The first bit of this was definitely very hard to read. It's about this woman and her sister's fiance. They get taken and get trapped. They get kidnapped and are trapped in this base, it was a basement or something, together, and the things they had to do, yeah, it was definitely very hard. And then a romance kind of happens between them these two while they're going through this horrible experience together. But yeah, definitely very, very hard to read at times, and I definitely cried at the end of this one. And it had a very big emotional impact on me. So yeah, I gave it 5 stars. I loved it, and the impact on me that I gave it 5 stars because it just blew, I was surprised at how much of an impact it had on me. But yeah, definitely was very hard to read, especially that first bit of it. And then the next book I have is Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. This was such a cute little childhood friends to lovers second chance romance story. It was so cute. I loved it so much. I know this one already has a lot of hype, and I'm probably one of the last people to have read it. But yeah, definitely loved it so much. It was very cute, and I love the two characters, and I love that they shared a love of reading. That was so cute. They read together as childhood friends. And yeah, it was such a good, fun read. I also have to talk about, actually, those two that I showed you weren't the first books that I read in June. I actually ended up finishing, Feed, also in the month of, like, it was like, I started it in May, but I finished it in June, just in time to be on the live show for, Kaylee's, Patreon, which was so much fun to do. It was such a good, like zombie story about, and it had like, shit, like had like a lot of like talk about like viruses and like politics and stuff. And yeah, it was, a, great, zombie story. I think I ended up giving it like 3.5 stars. And it was definitely a book that I read that was out of my comfort zone. So I was not expecting to like it as much as I did. I didn't like love it. It wasn't like a new favorite, but I still had a lot of fun reading it, and I liked the characters, and I definitely had like emotional like it made me like emotional in some parts. So yeah, definitely a fun read, and I'm glad I read it for Kaylee's Patreon. And that's Kaylee from Kaylee's Books. And then the last three, they're not technically like books, but they're graphic novels. The last three books I want to talk about are the first three books in the Heartstopper series. These were so cute. I don't know why it took me so long to read these. I now want to go and watch the Netflix show because I know also a second season is coming out too. I gave them all 5 stars. Yeah. I highly recommend if you haven't already read it. But yeah, I don't know why it took me so long to read these. I had so much fun reading them. It definitely helped me with my like reading slump because they were very easy to read. And it was just so cute and just made me like put a smile on my face. Like I loved all 3 of these so much, and it definitely helped me through this like kind of like book slump I've been in. And yeah, I highly recommend if you haven't already read these. Okay, so I also want to go through some of the books that I started in June but have not finished yet. I'm just going to quickly go through them. First up, this is the sequel to it, but I started Red Sister by Mark Lawrence, but I have not finished it yet. Like I said, this is just a sequel, but I couldn't find my copy of Red Sister right now, but yeah, I started that book, and I think I only got like a little bit through, like I think I read the first like couple chapters. But yeah, I started that book, but put it down. I still want to read it. It was for the, Backlist Book Club pick. It was the Backlist Book Club pick for May and June. So yeah, I definitely still want to read that. But yeah, I have not finished it yet. Another book that I started but haven't finished is One for My Enemy. This was the June, pick for Katie Colson's Smut Salon. I actually only have like a couple days to finish this at the time I'm filming this, so hopefully I will finish it in time for the live show because I am very excited to finish it. I did not finish it in June. And then I also started Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I only read like the first chapter of this. I'm reading it like kind of buddy reading it with my like in real life best friend. Like she's been my best friend since like high school. But yeah, we are buddy reading it together. But yeah, I only got like the first chapter read. But yeah, I started this one in June. And then I also started The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V. Schwab. This one, I am not sure how far I got. I didn't get too far into this one yet. but I am liking it so far, and I definitely want to continue reading this. And then the other book that I started but have not finished is Six Scorched Roses by Carissa Broadbent, which I really want to read so that I can read the sequel to the Serpent and the Wings of Night. So yeah, those are all the books I started that I have not finished yet, but I was in a reading slump, so I just started all these and just never, like, I didn't pick them back up. I think I went like a whole week and a half without picking up a book, which hasn't happened in a long time. So yeah, these are all the books that I started and still need to finish. So these are definitely like priority reads right now. And it's a lot. So yeah, definitely want to read all these. And yeah, I think I had a good 4 months of reading. I read some good books, maybe not some not so good books, but yeah, I think I still read some really good books this year so far, and I hope to read a lot more in the next half of this year, because I have a lot of books I want to read and that I'm very excited about. All right, so thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you like and subscribe if you want to. And I hope you all have a wonderful day wherever you are.